Hello and welcome to Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business. Joining me today is Ernie Tsu, who is president of the Alberta Hospitality Association and owner of the Trolley 5 establishment in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today, Ernie.
Thanks for having me again, Mario.
Well, Ernie, I'd like to ask you a few questions regarding some pretty exciting news for the industry this week. With the easing or the announced easing in Alberta of public health measures starting next week. First of all, the overall thoughts from an industry perspective on what the government is doing.
Well, our industry is pretty excited to get back open, like the restaurants that do have patios. Obviously, our whole industry is far more excited for the fight and the battle that we've been doing for the last few months on getting indoor dining reopened. So that's where more of the excitement is to be able to get our whole industry back up and open, because we still have to remember a good 40% of our industry do not have patios, or they may have like a small patio that only allots 2 to 4 tables or 5 with social distancing.
Yeah, but it's not far off, right? According to the government plan, so we'll be seeing the indoor dining in not too long.
Well, indoor dining and normalcy, quite frankly, is going to revolve around everyone getting vaccinated. And at this point, I think it's not about this being a political issue or whether you believe it in or not. This is what has been deemed for all industries to get back to normalcy is the vaccination rate that the government has now given some measurable metrics around.
Yeah. And what the government is saying is, keep our fingers crossed, but we're looking at early July, everything, almost everything lifted. And, how will you react to that day when it comes as an owner of an establishment?
Well, I have a bottle of scotch that I have not opened I've had it in my cupboard here for over 15 years, so that's getting opened. And then you know what I'm going to be doing? I'm actually going to shut the doors and have a good time with my staff. Once we're able to open up at 100% with no restrictions, it truly is about getting our staff back to work and getting them back into a better mental place.
Yeah, and obviously, like for the establishments in Calgary and for places like yourself down in sort of the downtown area near the Stampede. Stampede's going to be big for you guys this year, is it not?
Yeah, this 17th Avenue is always great during Stampede. It's going to be that punch in the arm that the whole city needs, but we're looking forward to a very busy Stampede. Stampede party requests are already starting to pour in.
Oh wow!
And yeah, we'll see how we'll see how those restrictions might come out or maybe laid out. Hopefully it's no restrictions by that time and we're ready to go.
Yeah. When you look back at in the past year or so, Ernie, how difficult has it been for your industry?
Well, there's no way to sugarcoat it. It's been devastating for our industry. We've seen restaurants, close across Alberta, and a lot of the restaurants that have closed in town in Calgary here are long-standing restaurants that have been part of our fabric for longer than 8 years. We've seen well-established restaurants that have been integral part of this community close, but more importantly, the mental health aspect of our youth. That has been the most devastating, is to watch the mental breakdown of our talent, our youth that are coming up, that quite frankly we need to help rebuild the city as we get moving forward.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about the impacts that COVID will have, long-lasting impacts type things, right? And one of the things is behavior, changing of behaviors. More people, taking delivery or takeout, etc. Do you think that once we get past the hurdle of some of the challenges right now, that life will return to normal and people in many ways will be flocking to restaurants and bars because they've missed them so much?
Yeah, we've seen it after the last three lockdowns. Is as soon as we come out of the lockdown and we open up, um, the public support has been amazing, and that's for all restaurants of all styles, from casual fine dining to your local pub in your neighborhood to the Beltline and Mission. We'll see restaurants will be busy, and we thank the public for that. It's always been great support, but more importantly, we see the public come out in flocks because now they can finally get out and socialize and be able to see each other again.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I hate to put a negative spin on anything, but my God, I guess you mentioned how many times you've been open and closed over the past year or so. Uh, can the restaurant and bar industry go through another one of these if things don't work out according to plan?
Well, we saw it in the premier's last press conference. There was even an apology from the premier to the hospitality industry. If there's a fourth wave, this government really needs to step up and equalize what has happened in Ontario or Quebec or British Columbia with the extra subsidies on top of federal to try to keep this industry alive. We still have to keep in mind no emotional goes into numbers, and this industry is the third largest employing industry in the province in the private sector. So but coming out of COVID has also been the number one industry to have to lay off during the last 14 months. So
Yeah, and that brings up an interesting point. I'm just curious, as a industry owner, you've had to lay off people, for certain periods of time, et cetera. I imagine a lot of those people, have moved on, right? Because they've been tired of the uncertainty in the industry, and no fault of your own, obviously, but been tired of that uncertainty. They need jobs. They need to make a living. Is it going to be difficult when you guys come to full force again out there finding personnel to employ?
We've been very blessed here at the brewery and the restaurant. We've only lost, maybe two or three people there after each, like a total of four or five, up to this whole 14 months. So we're blessed. We have all of our team coming back. But I really, truly worry about the restaurants in Banff.
Yeah.
Without the ability to have the foreign workers, the Australians, the New Zealanders, and that come over and they work the summer season, hike, do their mountain biking, really live that beautiful lifestyle without having access to that labor force. It has proven already to be very challenging for every restaurant in the Bow Valley area because they don't have that pool to draw.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people looking for jobs for sure, but in our industry with the open close, it's created a lack of confidence from people that want to get a job in our industry as to what happens if we hit a fourth wave.
Yeah, and great news, obviously for students, right? Because you employ a lot of people who are university students. They must have been kind of sitting on pins and needles, so to speak, over the last few months, wondering about where they're going to get the money to go to university in the fall. Right.
And our industry is always taking care of the students, right? And that's one message that we've maintained to the government is look at all of the career paths that come out of our industry. We have nurses, doctors, lawyers, etc., that needed to put themselves through school, and our industry has always been able to give that flexible schedule,
Yeah.
especially during those exam times.
All right, super. Well, thanks a lot again for joining us today, Ernie.
Always. Thank you so much, Mario.
All right, super. That was Ernie Tsu, who is the president of the Alberta Hospitality Association and owner of the Trolley 5 establishment in Calgary. This has been Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business. Thanks for joining us today.